Get ready for Sonia, Lisa, Vanessa. Get ready for Sonia, Lisa, Vanessa, Bettina. Come on, say what? Come on, say what? We got hot topics. We got what the fudge. So bring it home. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? You got questions. We got the answers. You wanna cheat? You wanna chat? You wanna talk about this and talk about that? You're in the right place to hear the facts. Bring it home. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? The ladies are bringing the conversation. So join us on Say What across the nation. Bring it on, y'all. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it home, y'all. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? Come on.
Y'all know we gotta do it. Say what? You say what you got to say, Miss Bettina.
Say what? You know, you got to close one of them eyes.
No, I'm glad to closing the aisles.
Yeah, you'll get one closed eye in a minute.
Welcome, everybody. We're so happy to have you with us today. I am relinquishing my role. Miss Bettina is going to be running the show. You welcome everybody, Miss Bettina.
Hey, welcome everybody. And you know we are here to bring you some information. We're here to feed your spirit, your soul, and we cannot go another further. And since I get to play Talisa gets to play the what? Junior Bishop. Okay.
So Junior Bishop.
Junior. No, you junior. Because Vanessa is junior.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm junior. Amen. So yes, I am bringing the word of God. So thus saith the Lord.
Yes, what saith?
Isaiah 46, verse 4. You got to do a Pentecostal, verse 4. And right. It reads, even to your old age, I am he.
Mm-hmm.
Even to your advantaged old age, I will carry you. I have made you, and I will carry you. Sure, I will carry you, and I will save you. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That is the word for today. I've been in church too long, as y'all can see. So,
yes.
Let me just make it clear. Even to your old age, I am he.
Yes, please.
And even in your advanced old age, I will carry you. I have made you. I will carry you. Be assured, I will carry you and I will save you. Say, y'all, based on what the Lord is saying today. What do y'all hear today?
Bring it, Vanessa. Bring it on in, Vanessa.
I mean, he's just being point blank. I made you. I got you. Period. I mean, young, old, middle-aged, in between, you know, wherever you are, what age you are, I made you and I got you. It doesn't stop just because you reach a certain age. God has us. That's what I take from that. He's got you. I made you. And that scripture kind of reminds me, you know how your parents say, I made you. I brought you in this world. And I'm going to tell you, I can take you out.
If anybody can say that, it's the Lord. Okay.
Exactly.
The Lord.
Listen, if anybody can really say that, it is the Lord. And what moved my spirit, so if you will, is the fact that he said, I made you, even in your old age. But then he took it a step further, if you will, in your advanced. You see what I'm saying? He didn't just go with, okay, in your old age. So in other words, you can be 75, because you know the Bible talk about 70, and that's 70, as the oldest say, the oldest. 70. You mess around and getting them their 80s and 100s. The advanced. That's the part to me where he's referring to the advanced old age. I made you. I created you. I got you. I held you then. I held you before I put you in a womb, and I'm going to carry you all the way through all the days of your life.
Yep.
And the only thing sound like to me that you have to do in all this, only thing sound like to me, and I could be completely wrong, but let y'all correct me, is have faith.
That's it.
All
Period.
you have to do is give your life to Christ, saith, doeth, believeth. You understand Romans chapter 10, verse 9 and 10. That's all I'm going to say. I know I'm not supposed to be junior bishop today. It just moved me some kind of way. It did.
Period.
I love how he said, I repeat. Because my mom said that to me. My mother used to pin me in the corner. I repeat.
Mm-hmm.
I made you.
I made you.
And I am going to carry you.
Yep.
Okay. And what stands out about the carry part is, in our old age, we need somebody to carry us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely.
Carry you. So don't feel like you got to do this on your own.
Nope.
Feeble-minded and all. I got you.
Period.
So the Lord is great and worthy to be praised because you got me.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Sometimes there's not that. Sometimes there's nothing else to say. Sometimes, and quite often, if I may, quite often, the Bible gives you mic drops all day, every day. If you're reading it, you can drop a mic.
Absolutely.
Every day if you pay attention.
Absolutely.
Because you can peruse it. You can peruse it. If you read that word and you let it get all up in through your spirit, mic drop all day.
Absolutely.
Mic just broken. Okay, because you're just dropping it. Kabooyah. Yep, there you go.
Absolutely.
Get some carpet and a pillow.
Ain't nothing to be said to it. You ain't got to worry about nobody else. I got you.
Period.
With a T. Right, because
you
know what they doing. They're saying period.
Period.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we ain't got nothing else to say. Miss Vanessa?
Yes, ma'am.
What's going on in the world? Because it don't matter because he got us. So but just tell us what's going on.
What's happening? Heck, I'm gonna start with this first story because it just still baffles me and this. Anyway, we're in the twilight zone, but God said, I made you and I'm gonna carry you. So we got to remember that scripture as we go through these stories. But the Arizona Supreme Court upheld an 1864 abortion law. Tuesday, they said that, this law criminalizes all abortions except when a woman's life is at stake. The court said the enforcement won't begin for at least 2 weeks. However, it could be up to 2 months based on an agreement reached in a related case in Arizona, according to State Attorney General Chris Mays and Planned Parenthood. So there's a court case going on that could delay it a little longer, but the law provides no exceptions for rape or incest. Now keep in mind, this law was created back in 1864. Now get in your head, 1864. Where were we in 1864?
In slavery.
And were women even considered,
not at all.
They weren't even being, because they didn't have the right to vote. They didn't have any rights. Women didn't have anything. So they were, a notch above us, but they still weren't really considered, to be, I'll say, people themselves. They were people, but, they weren't considered to be of any significance to the people who made these laws. And now they're upholding an 1864 abortion law that has a total ban with the exception of saving the mother's life, which I think is absolutely crazy. What say you?
Listen, first of all, the people that are making these laws, and the people that are upholding these laws, I'll say the gender. And then you got some women getting on this bandwagon too. So I can't just blame it on the men, because the men aren't every single thing. You have people getting on this bandwagon that are essentially saying you don't have the right to make a choice about your body. That is the one thing that gets me. If God, our Father, brothers, all are we, if God, our Father, is giving you free will, who are you, or you, who are you to make the decision that I said it don't matter if you was raped or not? You're going to carry that, you're going to suffer, and you're going to deliver it. Now, what you do with it afterwards is your business.
Exactly.
But I think that's where we get caught up. First of all, let's start here. How many this brings to mind? How many laws from the 1800s are still on the books? Let's just start there.
Mm.
Right? There are a bunch of laws that are still out there from the 1800s, which has no validity in what goes on today. Okay, so think of it: 1800s, we were wearing long skirts.
Mm-hmm.
What's the thing that you pull from the back? Now we call
The
it
corset.
Corset.
We were wearing corsets. We were doing all of that. This 1800s. Okay, women had no say. You had to do what your husband said. So this brings to mind how many laws are on the book. But second, all men had the say so. You had to do what they said.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what this suggests is that we want to go back to that time, which honestly, people have said before, and because so much foolery is out there, we're numb to it.
That's exactly right.
We're so numb to all the stuff. We're no longer surprised anymore. We're no longer any of that. We are just numb to it. Okay. And I add myself into this because it used to be election season would go on and then you had a reprieve. Now election season is just consistent. It don't go nowhere. It's here all the time, and I don't get a break, which drives me crazy. Okay. But we're immune to it. So what they're really saying is, we don't want you to have any rights.
Mm-mm.
Nessa has brought to me many times, and I still haven't seen this, and I need to see it. Handmaid's Tale.
You really do need to see it because this is being played out. I mean, whoever wrote that series, the book, it's a book, and then it was made into a series on Hulu. And, you know, they were saying that the Supreme Court judge, the female judge that Trump put on the bench, the last female that went to the bench, well, besides Jackson, Jackson.
And Amy something, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, Amy, yes. She was a part of a group that was similar to the people, how the women lived in The Handmaid's Tale. And just before she came to the bench or came up for being considered for the bench, she removed herself from that group. But I'm telling you, if you watch The Handmaid's Tale, you'll see it on The Handmaid's Tale playing out just like it is today.
It just doesn't make any sense. And again, we just want you here, birth the children, keep your mouth shut, and do what you're going to do. So what I bring to this conversation is, what does MAGA really mean? Because again, we're not paying attention to, and I bring this point is because each president picks out a president that they model themselves after. The previous president, disgraced president, embarrassing president, chose President Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson is responsible for the law that created the Slaves Fugitive Act. What people do not know as the background is, at the end of the War of 1812, he was a war hero and fought back the British. After the war, the land was worth pennies. He was buying up the land and selling it to plantation owners. So he needed this law so that the plantation owners could have the land, and he was making money from it. Because he was a war hero, that's how he became president. And the previous twice disgraced, twice impeached president chose him as his president to model after. And you have this going on. What does that tell you?
Well, you know, he says he's done more for the blacks than probably Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said.
So this does not surprise me. And not to mention that, in addition to wanting to be a dictator, you know, he wants to be a dictator, which he said he would be on day one.
Absolutely. And Dion is saying, can it partially be that those who oppose abortion rights feel like they are less likely to need one? But I heard something that someone said, and I want y'all to speak to this, is in the Christian community, we tend to go with, okay, yeah, abortions aren't good, but you have to broaden that perspective. If you're pregnant and can't carry full term, they can't touch you. They can't do anything.
But yes, they can.
Well,
yes.
hold on. They can let you die and get you to sepsis.
If you're pregnant, can't carry full term, and miscarry, there are states that still want to prosecute you for miscarriages.
Absolutely.
But they can't stop you from miscarrying.
Perspective in the conversation is what I'm saying.
I'm sorry.
I want to address the statement that Dion made, and hadn't thought about it like that. However, a lot of that makes sense to me, right? Because a lot of the people that are opposing either one or two, it could be, well, not one or two. It's a boatload of these things. It could be already had all the children they're gonna have, right?
Already had abortions.
Already had that.
Some of them had abortions and hid it and didn't tell nobody.
Right. Already did that, right? Or don't want any children or not having any children, or there's a bunch of men who can't have any anyway. How about that?
But that again, that switches it too. And this is what I've always said. If we make this about the men, because biblically, the men were in charge of wasting seed.
Right.
So technically, the person that should be in trouble here is not the female. It should be the male. So if we address the law just for the sake of this conversation and say, if you waste seed, then we coming after you, I guarantee you none of this would be going on.
Especially since they are. Go ahead, Bettina.
No, definitely not. But I was speaking directly to that statement, and it's not all about women, about the ones who can't have, won't have, already had, did have, will have. Like you said, it's probably people that's really yo-ho, got a poster board and a stick, because people get a poster board and some markers
in a minute,
right? And get to protesting. They already have.
Yep.
Right? Or don't want any, or have all that they're going to have now.
But let me tell you, I watched a documentary about Planned Parenthood and the people who work there. There were a few doctors who worked there. They said that there were women coming off of the picket line, picketing them for giving abortions, coming inside to have abortions. And they're on the picket line, get the abortions, and then turn around and go right back to the picket lines. And they would they would ask them, well, you're picketing us. You're against us providing these services, but yet you're here. And then one of the doctors said, one of the ladies told them, well, this is what you all do, and I need your services, so you need to help me.
Can you say, look, this is where we talk about how the new people say that if hypocrite was a person.
Yeah, exactly. But then they have the abortion and go right back to the picket line. I had a friend who told me once she had an abortion, and she told me once she wished abortion was illegal back then when she had the abortion. And she knows the Lord, she's in church and everything. So I asked her, did it take it to be illegal here in states and federal? Did it take them to make it illegal for you to know that it was wrong and for you not to have one? I mean, because the Lord, what he says about it, how God feels about it, period.
But there's some shame there.
It's a lot of shame.
Right.
But she would prefer that it had been illegal, so she would have never had her.
So she would have been forced to do something. God gave
she would have been forced to have it.
Point blank period. And here's the other reality. And if she thinks about this, I don't know who she is, and I might never meet her. However, think about this. People were going and finding a place to get it done, even
with the coat hangers. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and some people died, and some people bled out. Some people hemorrhaged. Some people got to a point where they were no longer ever able to have any children. So if ifs and buts was candy and nuts, it'd be Christmas every day of the year. How about that?
And we're going back there too. You watch. We're going back there. And then I'll say this real quick and we can move on. But I saw on CNN 2 days ago, I can't think of the man's name, but I see him. He's a talking head on the GOP. He said, so what if you have to take a bus to go someplace and have services or have an abortion? He said it's no big deal having get on a bus. It's okay. So how often you going to have an abortion? He said maybe this is just a one-time thing, and if you got to take a bus to go get it, so what? And I'm thinking, what if the man had to get on a bus to go have a service done?
That's my
Then
point.
how quickly would we change the
If the
law?
man had to get on the bus to go get his tallywhacker fixed,
If it
okay?
was a man, it would not be an argument.
It wouldn't be an issue.
He would not do to this day. Right now, we got stuff locked down in Walmart. Bettina used it as a W. What the
What
fuck?
the
Hey,
fudge?
because Walmart has to lock stuff down because y'all trying to get the stuff. But again, you're talking about what he's not considering is if she is in danger. She can't afford to be on a bus for 15 hours and she goes into sepsis. This is crazy.
It's crazy. It's real crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
But this
And this is the problem that we have because we have men making this decision and trying to speak to something they have no knowledge about.
none and don't want to have knowledge of it. It's just what they say goes, and we need to adhere to it because they're men, and so forth and so on. That's what it is, period. You know, your parents say, because I said so. That's how I feel like these laws are being put out. Because I said so, this is how we feel, and you just need to abide by it because, you know, I don't think I don't think your worth is valuable enough to make a difference.
The final thing I'm going to say is think about what part of America we're talking about when we use the word MAGA. What America?
Use the word what?
MAGA.
Matter.
MAGA.
Yeah.
MAGA. What America are we talking? Because clearly we're applauding 1800s. That gives you an idea where we're trying to go.
Absolutely. And for the sake of time, I'll just hit this last story with a notable passing. O.J. Simpson, Orenthal, I'll say his full name, Orenthal James Simpson, passed away April 10th in Las Vegas from prostate cancer. He was 76 years old. Prayers to the family.
Yeah, definitely prayers to the family. Listen, I have refrained from making comments on Instagram, Facebook, and blase skippity wee. Here was my comment to it. Rest in heavenly peace, Orenthal James Simpson, because his family is suffering, right?
Exactly.
So they still lost somebody, whether we think whoever in the world may think he's the most deplorable human in the world. Comments like, good riddance, which Caitlyn Jenner made. Okay?
Right.
And I need her, if we talking about, sin, go to hell, this, that, and the other, you done told God, this is what you told him.
Yep.
You didn't get this right, so I'm going to go fix it and change this.
Yep.
So you think that if it, no judgment. I'm just saying.
Right. Absolutely.
Listen, none of us was there.
Right.
You can blame it on the angry mob that was mad at Marsha Clark and Christopher Darden, who didn't do their job, or you can blame it on Johnny Cochran, who did the heck out of his. Whichever way you want to do it.
Right.
Those family members lost a loved one.
Right.
They lost a loved one. Believe it or not, somebody cried when Jeffrey Dahmer died. Okay? Right. So I need to keep that in perspective. For me, that's what I'm keeping in perspective.
Right. Absolutely. You're 100% right, Junior Bishop, because, you know, whatever your thoughts and opinions are, it's still someone's loved one, and somebody loved that person, be it the parents, you know, the children, whoever, somebody loved him. Talisa?
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm saddened that he passed. And I would classify so early because now 70s are young.
Right.
You know, to see him pass in his 70s, I would have assumed that he would be later in life. A lot of times we see athletes and we feel like that they take care of their bodies much better.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, all that he went through and things of that nature, like we said, we're talking about family, regardless of whatever cases, regardless whatever happened. His children and his grandchildren are without their family members. So it's just really sad to see. It's just a matter of all that he's gone through in his life. Really
absolutely.
Way. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm done.
Yeah. So Bettina, what the fudge?
What the fudge? You know, time and again, if you will, I get pictures and videos, and they ask me the question. So I bring the question to you all. So Talisa, if you would be so kind.
I don't know, Bettina, do people just bring this to you all the time? Is that
When I tell you my inbox, what the fudge, and they send it and they busting out laughing because they thinking, oh, this gonna show up. It's got to show up. Some of the what the fudge is so what the fudge-ish, I don't even mess with it. Trust me, I've had some what the fudge.
She done created a word, what the fudge-ish.
What the fudge
What
is.
the fudge-ish.
That's
That's right.
You know, what is that? How is it what the fudge-ish? What is
Sometimes it's a little too vulgar. Sometimes it's a little too nasty. And when I say nasty, it's with the nostril. Sometimes it's just nasty. Sometimes it's nasty.
Is that today? Do we have to brace ourselves today and clutch our pearls? Do we have to do that today?
You probably gonna clutch a pearl, but
Let me start clutching.
Look, we're not nostril nasty. Okay.
Let me start clutching.
We're gonna trust you.
Take that phrase too. So someone sent this to me on Instagram. It was a whole video that showed how everything was being done. And the stylist even has her name up there. Pretty proud of the whole process, if you will.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, this is a man. Okay. No, it's not Halloween and this is not a costume. There's a lot going on here, if you will. So we got the nice fade and sideburns on the sides. We got that. That's nice. But then we done messed around and got that blow dryer out and pulled that hot comb out, because this is not a regular old bump with the flat iron. You had to get a hot comb. You had to blow. You remember how you used to get your hair and we had to blow to keep that heat down? Huh? And had to pull and then pull them edges just so and get right there. Blow to keep that down. And you had to have that one rag on the side that you had to lay. Yeah. And you had to tell them to hold their ear. Don't ask me how I know all this, but you had to have them. You had to do every bit of that, and then you brought it around and you ponytailed it, gave it a part and a high dip. That's a high dip up on that top part. And then you brought it round. The only thing that didn't happen with this particular hairdo right here that would have set it off was some baby hair. That's the only thing that didn't happen here. And I think they were trying to catch the concept with the fade. I think that was supposed to be the so-called male version of the baby hair.
The baby hair.
I just have a question. The feeling and the vibe I'm getting from this is we just getting a little crazy adding on the hair. Okay, I'm just, because if you notice in the back view, there's a gap right beneath the ponytail. What is that? If you're going to at least try to have this, I'm going to need you to cover all your stuff up. I'm just saying.
This is just team too much. Too much.
What? If team too much was a person?
If team too much was a person, I'm sorry. That's just too much.
So I say to you, Miss Talisa, Miss Vanessa, and all listeners, what the fudge?
What the fudge? Put a hat on like I did and keep rolling.
This, according to Vanessa, we got to highlight that is team too much. Too much.
Team too much.
Too much. We got too much going on.
This is Sunday go to meeting.
This Sunday, that's a church person. That's all day.
Can't tell him nothing.
That Sunday go straight to meeting.
Straight to meeting, go to the basement, have some fried chicken. That's what that is.
Can't tell him nothing.
Okay, but somebody need to get a hold. And matter of fact, I'm gonna say this: his mama does hair. That's a mama do hair thing right there.
That's his mama. And look, and while I watched it be done, that's his hair. That was his hair. That was his hair. You understand? I took screenshots of that.
Let's see.
That was a whole video.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I feel like that ain't all his hair.
I'm just telling you what I watched. I don't know if she paused the video and added something in the back. I don't know, because you know they got all kind of trickery and buffoonery and tomfoolery with these things. I'm just telling you what I watched, and I watched the video to the end.
His friend said, "Hey, look, I want to try something new on your head. Let me try this."
And he talking about, all right then.
What this look like? What?
She said, let me try this, and then we're going to post it and see how many likes we get, and maybe we own to something. He said, okay, go on and handle your business. He sat there, and he was proud and posing for it and whatnot.
Stop.
No,
I'm just somebody's mama is a hairdresser.
I gotta say hi to Greg Evans over there, who is a real estate broker extraordinaire in the DMV over there. Yes.
Yes.
You need a house called Mr. Greg.
I'm just happy we're not doing this. I'm gonna need that to that's a what the fudge all day.
All day.
And you see, I had to make y'all a collage because I need you to see all the angles.
Oh my gosh.
No, thank you.
I'm scared. Somebody gonna put that in their window too. Watch. Watch. Okay, so Miss Bettina.
Yes.
First of all, again, I want to acknowledge giving honor to God. She is my pro when it comes to caretaking for our parents. And let me just say this, all jokes aside, taking care of our parents is something that to me is an honor to do.
Right.
But it takes a lot. And all of us ain't handling it well. And I feel as though that the caretaking should not alter your relationship with your parent. Does it? Yes. Should it? No. And I think, and I put this on our social media, is to take care of aging parents is a skill set. Everybody don't have that skill set. Some people it's innate and they can automatically do it. Some people have to learn how to do it. But regardless, it's a skill set. And I believe, for all the world, whoever gonna see this, that Bettina is the shero of the take care aging parents. Okay, yes. I handed many people off to her. Continue to hand many people off to her because I can't do it. I had enough, and I'm handing folk off. Okay, so Bettina takes the people and does the wonderful thing with them. So I just want
on her cape.
Well, she got a cape and everything. Okay, so I'm just saying, Bettina, I give all praise with this.
Yes.
This is the thing she got. Damn. Okay, and Bettina will travel the entire United States.
Yes. Yes.
Parents.
Yes.
And take care of your parents. So my first question to Bettina is, how do you do this and still maintain looking like you do?
Yes. Yes.
You know the people in the church. Lisa, you got me teared up over you, silly. Listen, you know the people in the church say I don't look like what I've been through.
Girl, you got this thing on.
Yes. On lock. Yes.
And I don't look like what I've been through.
Don't look like somebody need to pick her up out the floor. She ain't walking around with a house coat on and rollers in her head. She look good. How do you do this and it don't disturb you? That's my question.
Talisa, she looks good.
You look good.
That's an inside joke. We ain't gonna talk about that. Listen, you. So I tell you, Talisa, first of all, I gotta start the way you started, giving honor to God, giving honor to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who is the head of my life. Okay, that in a nutshell probably is the answer. However, I'll add some more to it, and I'm gonna go back between the word and hip hop and all kinds of stuff throughout this. Okay, so I'll say first of all, giving honor to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Then I'll say I woke up like this, right? So this is none of me and all of God. I can assure you, when I was a little girl, I didn't say when I grow up, I can't wait for the people to get old so I can take care of them. That was not what I said as a little girl, okay? It never happened. I never said it. Probably said, oh yeah, I'll take care of my mom, you know, and that's just kind of what kids say sometimes. Right. Some of them don't. However, it's just kind of a thing. It wasn't it. And so God made me like this. And if I'm going to be completely honest, all jokes aside, I've asked God, why me? Like, you put this on me. And I say you put it on me because I don't know how to not do.
Right.
Yeah, I really don't know how to not do. I've had situations where somebody said, oh no, I ain't gonna be able to, can you? And I'm like,
I dropped him off. God knows I dropped him off. I did. Here. That's what I said. Here.
I wasn't just speaking about you, ma'am, at all. I'm just saying, period. And so I want to start with a couple of definitions real briefly. So while I'm explaining and as we talk about this, we can fill in the gaps with some of this. I want to give the definition of compassion. Okay, that's the first definition I'd like to give. Strangely enough, I had a seminar yesterday and it was about compassion for my continuing education. And compassion, a lot of people don't like some of the words in this definition, but it's sympathetic pity and concern for sufferings or misfortunes of others. Okay? It's sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. Now, I want to give a definition versus empathy because some people confuse empathy and compassion. They are not the same. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to read the definition. I'm just going to give you the layperson breakdown. The definition of empathy, compassion is just what it is. Empathy is feeling for someone, right? Empathy is I feel for you. I feel bad that you're going to, I feel this. Compassion is action. So compassion is I feel bad enough to say, I need to advocate. I need to come pick you up. I need to go to the food stamp office with you or for you. I need to go get groceries because you're not able. So that's where compassion is different from empathy. Empathy is kind of putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and saying, oh man, I can't imagine losing my brother. I can't imagine losing my sister. That's a statement. Compassion is an action word. Mm-hmm. Compassion is an action word to me, and it is synonymous with love, right? So, love is an action word. People say love a lot. However, do you act out love? How does love show up in your life? And like Talisa said, people who don't or can't doesn't make them bad people. Everybody's not built for this work.
Right.
Everybody's not built for this work. It's like everybody's not built to be a parent. Everybody's not built to be a school teacher. Everybody's not made. We're not all made for this. So yes, in some instances, it requires some training. In some instances, it doesn't just require training. It requires you to dig way down deep, okay, to do this. Because I will be very candid and say 96% of this work is joy, okay? Because I'm not going to say 100% of it is. That's a lie.
Right.
96% of it is joy. 1% of it is not so joyous when you got to clean up on aisle 7. Okay? Mm-hmm. If you know what I mean. Because if you got somebody bed bound, you got to clean up on aisle 7.
Right.
I can make it fun. It's not fun. It's necessary. Right? Mm-hmm. So there you got that 1%. And then you got 1% of that person has lost their independence. So now they're behaving differently. It's not the same person you knew. It's not the same person you grew up with, because my only weapon now is my mouth. Right. So that's that second percent, right? So we at 98% now.
Okay. And then, okay. So 96 is joy.
Joy. 1% is clean up on aisle 7.
1%.
That's not fun.
Okay.
The other percent is my weapon is my mouth. So I know I need you, but I'm going to go off on you too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Then you got that other percent where if you're caring for someone that you love and grew up with, you have to process all of the things that bothered you when you were younger, and you have to be able to not relive that stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So you have to forgive. You got to figure it out. Okay. And then you got that one last percent, right? Where you got to remember that a lot of it is not about you. So you lose a lot. There's a percent there where you don't get to do things you want to do. Because you got to find somebody, pay somebody to take care of that person for you to step away and do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. So like I said, 96% of it, and I thought about it, 96% of it is nothing but joy. Because not once have I ever said I have to take care of. I say I get to take care of.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So now that was talking about a personal family member, loved one, auntie, that take somebody who actually went to a place and applied for a job to do this, right? Mm-hmm. And they really just need a job. They're not going in there because I just love seniors and I can't wait to be one of the people that's good to them. They're going in there because they need $14.75 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to do that last 4%. They don't want to hear your mouth. They don't have to forgive you because I'm just getting paid. They don't want to do cleanup on aisle 7. So they may not do it well. So you may have infections. So you may have, somebody laying in there, bed sores and things like that. Right. And they ain't got to worry about forgiving you because I'm clocking out at 5. Don't ask me if you are messy at 4:45. I'm already at the locker getting my stuff out.
Right.
So if whoever comes in at 5 has to call off, I hate it for you. You're going to be a little nasty for a while.
So, Bettina, it just reminds me of the scripture. The most important thing we can do and be as humans is a servant. And you are in the position, that's one of the utmost positions. What you're doing, there are various ways to serve, but what you're doing, it takes a special person to do. And you should consider it a blessing that God chose you to give this to. Because like you just stated, we can't all do that. We don't all have that last 4%, which is important. Out of the 100%, that last 4 to me, that's that 4%, that's the most important, I think, out of all of that. You got to have that patience. You got to know that it's not about you. You can't be upset when that person that you knew or grew up with or isn't themselves. I have a friend whose parent, their mom actually is dealing with dementia, and I don't know if you've seen the commercials, but there's various levels, and her mom is at that like a mean stage, and she understands. I don't know if the other family members understand, but she understands that that's not her mom that she grew up with. That's not the mother who raised her. Exactly. It's the disease. It's not her mother. Whereas some of the family members don't understand that, and they're upset with the mom for her behavior. And they don't understand that the mom that raised them didn't behave that way. And now that she has this disease, this comes with the disease. So you have to have that mindset, like you said, and know that it's not about you.
Right.
That last 4% is very important. And the fact that you do this freely, you raise your hand, you said you cannot, you're not that person that can't sit back and not help. And I'm like that too. I don't know if I would not be able to not figure something out even if I didn't jump in like you are. I'm not that person to not figure it out or at least find someone who can help. If I couldn't do it, because it would bother me knowing you needed help and I couldn't do it. But you're that person that actually puts pen to paper and then you put it into action. So I applaud you. I applaud anyone who can do what you do and do it with a smile on your face, even though I know it's hard and some days you just don't feel like it, but yet you press on anyway. And God has kept you. And like we said earlier, you don't look like what you've been through because God's grace, God's keeping you. God's got you. Like that scripture Talisa read earlier, He's got you.
Absolutely. And the God could be, somebody like a Bettina, but I want to make sure that we focus on a part of, what it takes, because some stuff is innate. And Bettina, honestly, I believe a lot of the skill set that you have is innate. This is who you are. But at the same time, all of us have parents. All of us have to figure out what to do. And I want to bring back something you just said is this person is not whom you remember, right? So we get caught up in trying to make them that person again. An example would be, I saw my mom once when I went home to visit, and she was picking me up from the airport. All airports, nobody can park in front of where. Remember, when we were kids, you could just park in front of places and walk out and get in the car, and it was fine. You can't do that anymore. So there are police directing you around. You got to kind of do. She was at a distance from me, and I was screaming her name. I don't say mom because a bunch of people could be saying mom, so I just say her name. But she couldn't hear me because it was so loud. But I saw the features on her face beginning to go this direction. I had to pause, and my eyes watered up.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh my gosh, she's aging. She's aging. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
I kind of teared up on you just now when you said
Right.
that.
And I had to stand there, and the people were looking at me like, why are you standing here? And I'm just trying to get a grip
Right.
of the fact that she was aging. And that was at that point to let me know this is not the same person. She's the same mom that loves you.
Sure.
At the same time, this is not the same person. So sometimes we get caught up in that because we're going from what we knew versus who's standing in front of you. And that I see is a lot for somebody that works with people in this issue. That's not this person. So being present is what takes a minute to really just help you get a grip. Because I've seen people say, which I find strange, I'm not the person like Vanessa who can just stand on the sideline and just let that happen. Girl, I couldn't, when my mom came to stay with me, people was just like, oh girl, I couldn't. And I was just like, wait a minute, we talking about your mama. We're not talking about, somebody you don't like. No, this is my mama, right? And they were just like, so I didn't, no judgment. That's what you want to do. I can't do that. And I think that to me has been the biggest battle of being present and not taking her back to what she was versus who she is now. What do you think, Bettina?
No, I think you're exactly right. And that's the thing is first of all, as with any issue or challenge, it's identifying it. And you've identified that. And once you can identify it, then you can work towards a solution for it. So like you said, you saw your mom, and it was like in that moment, you saw that her face was dropped, that she was aging, right? Because you weren't there every day to see it. Because we were there every day. We don't know why the people come in town and say, your mama getting older. Well, you're there every day, so it doesn't look like anything to you. Rewind really quickly. My father left when I was 4 years old. My mom and dad were separated, right? Okay. From the time I was 4 years old, my daddy was 81. He had a stroke. I hadn't lived with him since I was 4 years old, and I went to Detroit and got him. I thought I had forgiven my father. I even told that lie to myself multiple times. I did. I forgive my daddy. I forgive him. And then he walked in my house, and I had a big old sign, welcome home, daddy. He had a stroke, and the person he was with was dealing with bladder cancer, so they couldn't take care of him. So I went to Detroit and got him. I'm going to go get my daddy. That joker walked in the door with a sense of entitlement. I was like, and I started doing a robot. I had to brace myself. And I say this because, like I said at the beginning, God did this. I can't take any credit for it. I just do what I'm told. God did this because God made sure that my father lived long enough for me to fully forgive him, for me to actually be sad to my core when he passed.
Yes.
He gave me that time. And yes, I'm //. I got comedy, single mom, elder caregiver, extraordinaire, as Talisa likes to say. I'm not like the old people whisperer or whatever it is she says. However, I'm human.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm human, and I needed to do work. So I had to make sure that because here's when we start talking about compassion, right? We talk about actions. The compassion comes into play is that if God allows me to live as long as my parents lived, my mother is 86, she's still alive, she's going on 87. My father was 85 when he passed. If God allows me to live that long, somebody may need to take care of me.
Right. Yep.
So all that I'm learning with my mom, sometimes she gets agitated. She doesn't have dementia or anything, thank God, right? She is bedbound. I'm in her room now. I thought this was the perfect place to be. She's at dialysis. I just thought this was the perfect place to be to do today's show, is in her room. And so I think about the fact that what am I going to do when and if the time comes that someone needs to care for me? So when my mother says something snappy, and she does, okay, I say, well, excuse me, Miss Ma'am, is that what we doing today? And then she realizes that I was funky and I'm gonna need to get myself together. I try not to. With my dad, I would say, excuse me, Mr. Sellers, what, huh? Say what? Baby. And I tell him, I'm going on the other side of the house. I'll see you at lunchtime. Okay. So you have to make it fun and funny. When my mother, who has to be taken care of with all of her toilet issues, right? When she has to go to the bathroom, and she gets embarrassed and she says, I don't want you. I'm so sorry. You all have to do that. I said, listen, you changed 6 people's butts, grandkids, and some more stuff. I'm almost positive that our doo-doo smelled way worse. Okay. And then she starts laughing. Don't make me laugh. I'm gonna go some more. I want to go and get it out there. Work, So you have to
see that's what I mean. See that right there, Bettina.
I'm like,
listen, like that.
Right. Not many people, but I'm like, listen, where's the glove? I don't need gloves. I'm just clean up underneath my finger, and then she's laughing. So no, that's the 1% where I said clean up on outside.
Right.
One. No, because who's sitting up there telling me when I grow up, I can't wait to clean some doo-doo.
Right.
I can't wait.
Right.
I'm just nobody's doing that.
Right.
The reality is my mother took care of me, sacrificed, did for me. My father didn't. Right. And although I didn't end up having to take care of him in that way, because he was able to get around and get to the bathroom, he still required certain things of me. Right. Taking him to the doctor, speaking for him, advocating for him. So I'm going to say this on the other side of this, because I know we're getting short. I want to say this. Taking care of seniors, elders, or whatever, whether you're in a setting where you're working there, don't go apply for a job if that's not what you want to do. It's not fair to the person. It's not fair to you. Right. Okay, because you're going to work every day just for a paycheck. And I'm going to tell you, all money's not good money.
Right.
Okay. So if you're doing it for the paycheck, please go somewhere else, because it's our parents that you may have to take care of that we may not be able to keep at home. Right. So don't do that. What's that?
So hold on, Bettina. Deanna's saying clearly you're writing a blueprint. So I'm going to piggyback off what he's saying. I want you to give three tips for people that are taking care of their parents. Everybody doesn't always reveal, but 3 things they can walk away with that they can implement that will help them maintain their relationship with their parents.
First and foremost, honestly forgive. Whatever the situation is that you had when you were younger, because yes, every one of our parents have done something, embarrassed us, did something, maybe didn't make a great decision. We were younger. Some of them may have been on drugs, alcohol, or any of those things, right? My mother was not, my father was not. However, my father was an absentee father. So you have to find a way to forgive, because for you to honestly, because you can go through the motions. If you're still emotionally struggling, that's an issue. Find a way to forgive. Dig up, and if you don't know, because everybody's not born with compassion, and this is a fact, get some training on compassion. Get some compassion training. There's actually training out there for compassion, because compassion is feeling, is acting. It's actually doing something for it. And the third thing I would say is, remember, if God willing and the creek don't rise, you're going to get to be an elder one day. And treat people the way you want to be treated.
That, and I'll say this real quickly, Talisa. Again, I know we're coming to the end of the show, but Talisa, Bettina, those were some excellent tips. And listening to you, you are exactly right. I didn't have to take care of my dad. I was with him for a few days, his last week on earth. And like you, I thought years ago I had forgiven him. I told him I had forgiven him. And again, he lived till he was 92. My dad allowed him to live long enough for me to have truly forgiven him. And I say I truly forgiven him. Otherwise, I would have never stepped foot back in that house to even try to take care of him and look after him the few days that I was there. He passed away after I had returned. He passed away a couple of days after I came back home. But God allowed that. And while I was there, I did have to look after him because I was with him alone. And all that you've said went through my head. Because I said, God is just so awesome that he would have me, the least of these, because I was definitely the least of out of my siblings. I was the last one on the totem pole when it came to him. Mm-hmm. We didn't have the best relationship. Right. But I had to decide whether or not I wanted to punch my ticket to hell by not forgiving him. So
Your mother and your father?
My father.
No, I said honor your mother and your father.
Exactly. Right. So I had to decide to forgive, did that. And then, it's just being there in the house that I said I'd never step foot back in, and being able to sit there and take care of my dad in his time of need. I said, Lord, you are my God is just awesome. Because I know he thought that too. I caught him looking at me while I was taking care of him. I'm gonna say this real quick, Talisa. I know you're looking, but real quick, I caught him staring at me when we were watching TV. He was supposed to be watching TV, and I happened to look over at him because I thought he was asleep, but he was looking at me, and by him being older, his reflexes aren't as fast, so he couldn't look away. So he tried to look away, but he was blinking, and I kind of chuckled to myself because I said, I'm wondering if he's thinking what I'm thinking, if he's going back in his head, reliving our past. And I said, Lord, it's a reason I'm here. And maybe at that moment, that's why I needed to be here. But I was able to truly, truly in my heart forgive him. And you're right. It takes special people to be able to do that as a caretaker.
Let me say this as we come to a close. The thing that I want to offer is, please, parents, train your children how to do it. I am an only child, and I had to take care of my grandparents. I take care of people before I was 18 years old. But I also have an only child. And my son revealed to me recently, within the last couple months, Mom, please, you and Nana don't get sick because I'm petrified. I said, whoa. Let's step back. Hold on. What are we talking about here? And he said, I just going to be by myself. I said, you're never by yourself, right? And I have him help with my mom, because I'm training you on what to do so you don't feel like you're out of sorts. So parents, train your children. Right. Don't sit there and talk when you're playing cards and pinochle and biz whiz and all sorts of, my child don't do nothing. No, train them on what to do, because they're going to need that training. It needs to be something that they learn, that they understand. Okay, mom or dad, if something's happening, let me kind of step in or do whatever. So that's my final tip. And y'all, we can have this conversation all day, all night. But Tina, again, I just want the world to know Tina is the shero of the Say What?
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
With parents. And y'all heard her. She traveled all the way to Detroit. So
yes.
Come get your parents.
She gonna come for you now. She'll come for you.
She will come for you.
She's gonna come for you.
And I just want to say one more thing briefly, because I want people to understand about advocating for seniors, okay? Find organizations where you can advocate, because I'm going to close out by saying this. I just had to, for my mother, send a letter to Senator Warnock, to Senator Ossoff, and to Congressman David Scott. And I just sent emails to all of them because of the Medicaid, Medicare system here in Georgia, where she had everything. So we're ended up paying for her to go to dialysis, which is a life-sustaining treatment. Mm-hmm. So advocate. Dig up your resources.
Amen.
We love y'all. We thank y'all for being part of this conversation.
Thank you for letting me lead it.
Absolutely.
Love your friends, honor them. We will see y'all back in 2 weeks, where we will be at another conversation here at the Say What
podcast.
Bye.
Bye.
Get ready for Sonia, Talisa, Vanessa, Bettina. Come on. Say what? Come on. Say what? We got hot topics. We got what the fudge. So bring it home. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? We got questions. We got the answers. You wanna chit? You wanna chat? You wanna talk about this and talk about that? You're in the right place to hear the facts. Bring it home. Say